Heyo, Ian here for Sleep Deprivation, the big SD, back with more World of Warcraft content and my noob guide for how you should get started heading into the new raid content. Why?
I said wake up, motherfucker.
New raid is out, it's called Battle of Dazar'alor. I don't know how to fucking pronounce it, but it's got a whole whackload of brand new gear. Currently, only normal and heroic are available. Normal being 385 item level, which was the Mythic level of Uldir gear, and heroic up to 400. Now, depending on where you are and your current gear, that'll probably change your approach a little bit, but I'm going to give you guys a kind of general aspect. First off, there are a couple of 400 item level pieces that you can get really easy and you're going to want to snag up as soon as possible. First up would be, you go to your boat here, or I don't know where it is on the fucking Horde if you don't know, whoops, my bad. But there's going to be this quest called Against Overwhelming Odds, where your objective is to slay 25 level 120 plus Horde players anywhere within the world. So basically you activate war mode, get a group of buddies together, go out, just have a good old PvP time. You don't even need to be good at it, you just need to eventually get 25 kills. And that unlocks a nice bonus of Azeroth and a free 400 item level piece of gear, which is gonna help you out quite a bit. Because 400 item level, no matter what you had before, is gonna be an upgrade. The second is gonna be over in the war fronts. Another 400 item level piece of gear that you can get. And in the case of my server right now with Alliance, we get it through the quest. But if you do not currently have control of the Battle of Darkshore, you can just go fight the world boss that is over in Darkshore, and they will drop a higher item level piece of gear there as well. So world bosses in general are going to be dropping higher item level rewards than they used to, so it's probably worth your time and effort to go take a look at that. That's going to give you a nice immediate boost of gear. If you haven't unlocked the quest chain to get this guy, that starts with, you'll see this weird little fucking green flappy bird flying around me. You start this quest chain, and that's how you eventually unlock the quest here. The reason why I have it on this character right now is because I already did it on my main. Once you've done it on one character, you don't have to do it on any other character. Saves you time and effort. So, once you've done all that, those are your immediate boosts. The next best thing you can do all comes down to roughly where you're at currently with gear. What I would recommend doing is checking and seeing what the rewards are for your caches, your emissary caches. Because right now, as you can see as an example here, the tortellini fuckers or whatever, they're going to give me a nice little bonus of a 375 ring or trinket, which, if you look at my gear on this character right now, which is my alt, that would be a bonus in any slot. So that's a nice big bonus. On my other characters, it went up to a 385. If you're a lower item level, it might give you a lower item level reward, but it is something worth paying attention to. And then there are also still those weird, whatever the current name of the invasion things that fucking go around. Occasionally you'll see them on the world. They're worth doing as well, because they can also give you a free little bit of bonus loot. And that's just a nice little added bonus. Paying attention to world quests can be a good way to get you up. The item levels of world quest gear has gone up in a lot of cases. Like you can see 355 here from this world quest. It used to max out only at like 340 or 330. So it's easier to gear up in all those aspects and get all that taken care of. The new raid, I don't know where it is for Horde, but for Alliance, if you're wondering, hey, I'm actually ready to step into this fucking thing, where the fuck do I go? Well, if you don't have a guild, you can use the pre-made group finder, which I hit the wrong fucking button to do, and make groups for that on normal since Raid Finder isn't available. And I'm once again getting fucking lost. This is a great fucking tutorial, but there's another boat you'll see over here that is going to be where the entrance is for Alliance. For Horde, I would imagine it's probably different because the raid is actually located in the Horde area, so figure that out for yourselves. This is not a Horde tutorial, my bad. But other than gear, there is one other key thing you're going to want to be working on, which I have been slacking immensely on, and that is your Heart of Azeroth neck level. Mine's only currently level 26 in this character, but I don't play it, so that's not a problem. But the max neck level you would need for the previous content was only 31 or 32, depending on what your gear was that you had. Now, if you'll take a look here, for Heroic, you can have up to 43 that you're going to need. And trust me when I say these new Azerite pieces are significantly better than the old ones. I got a new piece of gear on my Rogue, and it boosted up my item level by a ton, which was incredibly helpful to, not just boost my item level, but it boosts my DPS up by a ton because the new traits are amazing. And you get more traits on them as well, so the new Azerite is really good. Another thing you're going to want to keep your eyes open for is there's this new currency called Titan Residium, which it's been out for a while, but it takes a lot more precedent now. You can spend that in here next to where you would go to reforge your gear and all that kind of jazz, but it's this guy here called the Purveyor of Exquisite Furnishings. What the fuck? That's weird. Alright, anyways. You go purchase from him, and you can buy all kinds of Azerite gear from 385 upwards. 385 is the cheapest, so if you're wanting to quickly boost yourself up, you can go with this. But I would recommend saving that Azerite for either a 400 or a 415. Now, you can get specific pieces of gear of 415 as well, but honestly, I would wait for that because the cost of that is insane, and that's something I would imagine you're probably going to want to look at later on down the raid tier once you've started to fill in most of your pieces of gear and you're looking at ideal itemization and not just boosting that overall item level. So for now, save for at least the 400 item level ones, maybe even the 415s if you're feeling bold, but it'll all depend on how much you're getting there. And the way you get this is by taking the pieces of Azerite gear that you currently have and throwing them in the Scrap-O-Matic, which I don't know the exact quantities of Residium you get for each one, but each one you're not using, you throw it in this fucking piece of shit thing, and then it'll give you bonus rewards as a result, as well as some Titan Residium. The other way to get it is from doing your Mythic Plus dungeons. And the Mythic Plus dungeons, as you can see, it's a new season. There's a new affix, and this affix, I will say, I like it a lot better than the old one. The way reaping works is every 20% of the enemy forces that you kill, a whole whack load of ghosts from all those ones you kill are all going to fight you at once. So be prepared for just a mass AoE battle, especially anything you can do to mass interrupt, mass stun them. You're going to want to throw extra threat on the tank, so any sort of misdirects from rogues or hunters is going to be greatly helpful as well. And saving cooldowns for that and knowing when you're going to get that is key as well. Because if you're not prepared and it runs up, it's just going to smack you in the face and beat the shit out of you. But the reason why I like Reaping better than Infested is Infested, if it got out of control, it could be incredibly difficult to come back from. You would have to, first of all, often crowd control them separately, keep them away from the pull. When they were in the group, you'd have to single target them down. So it changed the way you had to do individual pulls. And then if you didn't kill the infesteds before they infested another mob, then you could, instead of having one, now have two, and it could spread on, and it could get out of control really fast and really slow down your progression. This essentially is just one big pull you'll have to deal with all at once. And if you wipe to it, it actually kind of helps a little bit, which is weird. I don't know, they'll probably change that later on, but I was in a group where we ended up wiping a couple times, and if you hear that, that's because it's really windy all of a fucking sudden. But you probably hear nothing, that's just me. So yeah, Reaping, it's tough in a burst, but it's a lot more manageable, and if you time it up so that you don't get your percent before you get to the last boss, you don't have to deal with the last reaping for making time, I think. So that's not too bad. There's also another bonus with Mythic Plus, which it doesn't really say right here. But if you're in a group that doesn't make time, there's this guy in there that can give you a buff that gives you 20% increased damage and increased healing, which encourages people that don't make time to continue pushing on in the Mythic, which I think, honestly, it's awesome. It is a fantastic way to kind of get people to not just give up on keys when they're not going to make time, because it makes it a lot easier for you to finish, and getting those completions, especially now, is crucial because almost everyone needs the gear, and that's a really cool time as well. The way Mythics are working right now as of this week is that the highest gear drop you can get is from a Mythic 5, and that's a 385, but you're still going to want to complete a 10, because if you complete a 10, you will get an item level of 415 gear. Not 415, sorry, 410 gear from your Mythic chest at the beginning of next week. Now that is the fastest way to do it, and that's ideal if you can do it, but honestly, Mythic Plus is a really good way to gear up right now. Maybe a little bit difficult to find groups, but definitely push forward. It is probably going to be your most effective way to gear up, especially if you're not that geared currently. If you are geared, it's all about getting those 400 item level pieces that you can do and stepping into that new raid. With normal, if you're already at 385, most of the gear is not going to be that useful, but you're going to want the Azerite pieces. If you can, try and get into heroic, even if it's just for one boss. Like, beyond the first boss can be a little bit difficult, especially for pug groups, but the first boss is definitely something that you can do in a pug group. I did it myself, and I got lucky and I got 2 pieces of gear on my rogue, which was really helpful. One, which was a nice Azerite piece. So that is the ideal way to do that. And of course, if you have been already and you are saving up your roll coins, that's great, because the same roll coins you used for the last raid tier, you can use for this raid tier, which is really beneficial. And once again, if you need more, stop by here every week, get it with either gold, war resources, marks of honor, whatever it is you happen to have. And the one thing I forgot to mention is when you are going out into the world, if you can get by with it, turn on that war mode, because upwards of 30% bonus is incredible on those extra resources and stuff you can get, especially if you're doing those quests that give you bonus of artifact power. Which brings me to what I was talking about earlier with you wanting to level up that necklace. You're gonna want to start getting those island expeditions again, at least to get this bonus of 2,500 artifact power. You're gonna want to do those. You're gonna want to do look at your emissary caches that give you bonus artifact power as well. Anything you can do to get that necklace up, to make sure that when you do get the new Azerite pieces, that you're going to have as many of those traits unlocked as possible. And that is going to be the key to maximizing what you can do and getting your head start here in this expansion. So, to go back and reiterate, you're going to want to get those 400 item level pieces from the boat over here, where you do that PvP quest to kill 25 people in the world, as well as doing your at least the Battle of Darkshore, but you can do the other one as well. And that'll be good ways to get nice, easy, free gear to get you all set up and get you head started. Other than that, find the best ways you can to gear up while looking at your world quests, because the rewards are different now. Looking for those invasions or whatever they're called now, making sure you redo those world bosses, and of course, Mythic Plus, Mythic Plus, Mythic Plus. Always Mythic Plus is fantastic, and it is a great way to gear up if you can't get into that new raid. And if you can, go in and enjoy it, because from what I've seen so far of the new raid, it is a lot better than Uldir was. If you haven't seen my previous video about how I talked about how Uldir was kind of shitty, I'd recommend going checking that out. But this new raid looks very promising. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, so I don't want to give my full review, but I will say it is definitely, at least so far, a massive step up from what Uldir was. And I'm looking forward to progressing through this raid and stepping into more heroic bosses and then eventually into Mythic. And for those of you that aren't even on the normal level and can't quite go in there yet, and you're wondering, well, Raid Finder is going to start releasing in the weeks to come, so don't worry, you'll be able to step in there too, and then eventually move into normal from that point on. And for those of you that have already progressed through most of Heroic and you're waiting for Mythic, well, that'll be releasing soon too. But most people right now, even the geared ones, are going to be around 385 to 390 item level, so it's not too hard to get caught up to where most people are, especially with all the tools that exist right now. So enjoy the new raid tier, and if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. I'll do my best to answer them for you. Sorry if there was something Horde specific that you wanted to know. I just haven't been on the other side, so I don't feel qualified to give that information, but I imagine it would be very similar to what this guide has been in terms of an alliance perspective. Anyways, I'm Ian from Sleep Deprivation, dozing off, and I'll see you guys in the next video when I wake up.